What's a day in the life like for an average Oxford student? Stick around and let's chat about it on this episode of Navigating Academia. What's up, everybody? My name is Dr. J. Phoenix Singh, Oxford DPhil, and I want to warmly welcome you to this episode of Navigating Academia, your leading source for guidance on how to advance your career in academia. As always, I appreciate the love, so please do take a moment right now to like and share this video with your friends, with your colleagues, with your students. Subscribe to our channel, like us on social media at the accounts below, and hit that bell to be able to make sure that you get notifications anytime that we upload new videos, including ones all about going to Oxford. So, today we're going to be chatting about what's a day in the life like for an Oxford student. I can tell you my story really briefly, which is that I ended up getting my DPhil from Oxford in 2011. A DPhil is kind of like a Ph.D, so it's a doctoral degree. Mine was specifically in the field of psychiatry out of the Department of Psychiatry, and it was focused on the topic of forensic mental health, specifically forensic risk assessment, which is predicting the likelihood of violence. That was what I did my first doctorate on. 2 random doctorates. So, what happened for me was that I never planned on going to Oxford. It was never part of the equation for me. I decided that I wanted to do a study abroad somewhere because I didn't have a chance to do that during my undergraduate years. So before doing a doctorate, I decided that I would do a 1-year master's somewhere. And I am part British, and so I thought this would be pretty cool, get in touch with my English roots. And so I ended up applying and was lucky enough to get accepted to an MSc in psychiatry program at Oxford. An MSc is a Master's in Science, kind of like an MS in the US. And what happened for me was that then I was there, I really enjoyed the work that I was doing. I met somebody that I was in a relationship at the time. I said, life is good here, why don't I just stick around for the whole doctorate? And that's what I decided to do. And I ended up finishing up my DPhil and then moving back to the States for a postdoctoral fellowship, and the rest is history. But it was truly an incredible experience to go to Oxford. It's one of these universities that you grow up hearing about your whole life, about how prestigious it is. You know, it's the oldest continuous teaching university in the world, in terms of the English-speaking world, since 1096. I mean, it's just wild, the history that you feel when you're there in that city and, you know, going to the department every day and taking part in, you know, bops and balls and all these very unique Oxford experiences, wearing subfusk to formal hall, these things. It's pretty unique. So to be able to give you a rundown of my day and usually the days of most of my colleagues when I was there, and this really is, I'm focusing on graduate school, but the overwhelming majority of this is going to be identical for undergraduate students as well. So for me, I would, you know, wake up in the morning. I was very flexible insofar as graduate students, depending on the program that you're in, so like DPhil research students, you don't really have coursework. So you wake up, go to the department, and then try to change the world with your research. So what my supervisor told me one time, he's like, just, you know, your job is to create new knowledge. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. You know, I was 21 years old, give me a break. You know, I wasn't sure what I was doing. But I would wake up, I would make breakfast in my dorm. You know, my dorm, we ended up having, I think, like 9 people living in this, you know, really narrow house, which was part of my college. So, you know, there's dozens of colleges at Oxford. I was a university college. And even when you're in grad school, you know, the first year you have to live in college, as they call it. And it was a, you know, great experience, and living right downtown on High Street, which is like the main street in Oxford, and just an amazing experience. And while I was there, people would, you know, come and have breakfast together in the mornings, and we would talk about our projects, and nobody else was in my department, so folks were doing all kinds of cool stuff, from biology to epidemiology, statistics, medical colleagues, legal colleagues. It was such a mixed bag, and people from every country that you can imagine. And, you know, after having breakfast and packed my stuff up, I would end up walking out to either get my bike or to be able to go to grab a bus. Nobody has cars when you go to Oxford. Public transportation is very good. Buses are fairly reliable. I think that maybe it's rose-tinted glasses looking back thinking they were reliable, because I do have a lot of memories of, you know, being there on time for a bus, but it came a few minutes too early and then just kind of being screwed for 15-20 minutes and being really late to meetings and all in the department. Usually I would take the bus, but sometimes if it was a nice day outside, I would bike. Your bike tires do get stolen. It's very annoying. Even if you chain up one of them, they'll just steal the other one. People sneak into colleges. You know, usually they're gated up, but they'll sneak into them anyway and, you know, take your tires. It's wild. And so, you know, you kind of bike up. I didn't live on top of this big hill, but my department was on top of this big hill called Headington Hill. So to be able to get up there in the first place was really, you know, quite the experience. You'd definitely be, you know, kind of sweating like a mad person by the time that you got in, which I'm pretty confident that my roommates, in terms of the folks who worked in the same room as I did in the department, didn't appreciate it. We had 4 people working in a very narrow space, I would say, but we had very high ceilings, so that was kind of nice. But if anybody was making noise, or, you know, you couldn't have somebody else come into the room and talk unless everybody was talking, because it was just too loud. And the kind of work that we were doing was really high-level stuff, high-level statistical analysis, you know, writing, you know, books and book chapters and peer-reviewed articles for very high-impact medical journals. It was really arduous stuff, and just to learn how to do that was, I mean, a very difficult thing. And so because of that, keeping it quiet was relatively important. But usually you would work until lunch, and then you would take a break, you'd go to the canteen. When I got there, I hadn't heard the term canteen before, so, you know, if you're somebody like me where you didn't know, canteen's like the cafeteria. And you would go and, you know, get some food if you didn't end up bringing something yourself, and the food is usually pretty inexpensive. And then you eat with other people from your department, maybe other people from your cohort, which is the group of people going through the same degree program at the same time as you. The people who were in my cohort became, without a doubt, my most close friends, my closest friends, and people that I still stay in touch with to this day. So if you're my buddy Aisha and you're watching this, I love you, you're amazing. So many of my friends are just, they've grown into such amazing people, and they're doing amazing things in the field of mental health, and some of them are in totally different fields now. They decided they didn't want to be researchers, they went consultation and private business and all sorts of things, and I'm just genuinely very proud of them. And you get to know each other really well as people, because when you're going through, okay, let me tell you, you want to go to Oxford and you want to be a grad student, it's going to be traumatizing. It's the most difficult thing you'll ever go through. And, you know, you need other people to be able to go through that experience with you. Nobody's going to appreciate it as much as the other people going through it. Even people in other departments, or your parents, or your friends from undergrad and all, they won't get it. I'm just telling you right now. So it's really important that you socialize and get to know the people that are in your cohort. Now, you go back, you keep working for a few hours, and then it's tea time in the afternoon, and usually somebody in the room will say, you know, do you want a cuppa? Right, so it's short for a cup of tea, and how would you like it? Cream and sugar and these things. If you ever say you want milk in your tea, somebody's gonna have a heart attack, because that's not a thing. I almost gave someone who worked in my room in my department a heart attack when she said, you know, how strong do you want the tea? And I didn't really understand what that meant. And she said, well, you know, how long do you want me to leave the tea bag in? So I said, I don't really know. And she's like, what do you mean? How do you make tea in the States? And I said, well, you take the mug of tea, you put it in the microwave, and that alone was enough to kill her, right? But I was like, you know, put it in the microwave, heat it up, and then you put the tea bag in, and then you wait until you forgot that you made tea, and then when you remember, you go back, take the tea bag out, heat it back up in the microwave, and then you drink the tea. Right? And I'm pretty sure she never wanted to see me again for the rest of her life, because that, you know, in the UK, it is an art. You know, how many bickies, how many biscuits, in other words, cookies you end up having. You know, how many cookies do you want? How many cups of tea do you want? Do you want any sugar? Blah, blah, blah. And of course, what kind of tea do you want? And it's a tradition. It's an afternoon tradition. The day is kind of calming down. And when work does end, you end up again taking the bus back or biking back. If the weather was nice, I used to really like like to walk back, especially because it was downhill, so it's a lot easier than, heading up there. And when you're done for the day, you may end up, right away going to a place like a library to be able to revise. Revising means to like keep studying, basically. Or it may be something where, especially if it's like a Friday or a Saturday, you've got all kinds of evening activities. Even just to go to dinner, you can go to a place called Formal Hall. Formal Hall is where you wear your subfusk. If you Google Oxford outfit, you'll just see the subfusk. For guys, for instance, it's, like black slacks, black shoes, white button-up shirt, white bow tie, and this kind of like funky black, I don't even, cape? I mean, like, how do you say it? I don't even know. It's like this sleeveless thing that you kind of put on, usually over a blazer, and it just has these little flaps in the back. And the higher up you go, undergrad versus grad school versus actually getting your DPhil, you will get, and depending on what your DPhil's in, it's different colors, or the hats are different colors, you end up getting different robes to be able to wear, and you can even be at high table, which is literally a table on a platform a little bit higher, like 6 centimeters higher than everybody else, which sounds so pretentious, but it's like so Oxford, right? So, you may do that for dinner, or you just have different evening activities. You've got different clubs and different sports. Your freshman year, your first year, you'll go to something called Freshers Fair, and it's this epic kind of extracurricular fair where you can sign up for things from judo to trampolining to cheerleading to chess to everything in between, or you can even make your own club, your own extracurricular. But it's pretty amazing, and this is what you do in the evenings, and on the weekends and all, there's pubs and bars to go to, especially if the weather's nice, all day long. It's just the best. You can go punting on like a punt, which is something very traditional, go for a walk, go for a hike, go to Port Meadow. It's really a pretty magical city. It's unfortunate that when you really get into the degrees that you have very little time for anything else. But now going back, when I do go back to Oxford once every couple of years, it's like the most magical place. Going through it, it's like a living hell. In terms of actually doing the work, it's really rough. But when you're done and you've repressed all those memories, then it becomes a really cool place, and you do have a lot of really cherished memories when you're done. So that's what one average day was like for me. Most days ended up going like that. Some days were more difficult with work, and some days were really lax and relaxing. You have friends come to visit, you have family come to visit, you go and see people at other colleges, you have so many experiences. It really is a place that is like no other university that I have encountered. Alright y'all, thank you so much for watching. I want to hear from you in the comments below. Are you thinking about applying to go to Oxford? And if you already went, what are some of the stories that you have that you can tell other viewers of this video? Now, if you're thinking about being an Oxonian and you want some additional guidance or you have some additional questions, please do let me know. Ask your questions down in the comments below. Even if you're not quite sure what to ask, go take a look and just vote up. Give a like to any of the comments here on YouTube that you think are ones that you want answers to, and I will make those videos for you, and we'll keep rocking. But don't forget to like and share this video with your friends, with your colleagues, with your students. Follow us on social media, and if you're interested in one-on-one career coaching to be able to see if we can maximize the likelihood of getting you into Oxford, then please do contact me via the website below. Let's set up a one-on-one consultation call and talk about working together. But for now, I'm signing off, everyone, so have a great day, and don't forget to get out there, take chances, and be your best self. Thank you so much for stopping by, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here as always. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more in this series on navigating academia, please click on one of these links over here to be able to view more original content. I hope to see you there.